Lena always smiled in photos. It was the kind of smile that made people think everything was fine, even when it wasn't. At family dinners, she laughed at her uncle's jokes, helped her mother in the kitchen, and listened quietly when her father talked about work. From the outside, she looked like the perfect daughter. Calm, responsible, never causing trouble. But inside, she felt like she was slowly sinking, and nobody seemed to notice. The first warning signs were small. Lena stopped going out with her friends. When her phone buzzed, she would glance at it and put it face down without replying. Her room, once full of music and light, stayed dark most days. She began sleeping more, sometimes missing breakfast and even lunch. Her mother thought it was just a phase. "She's growing up," she would say. "Teenagers are moody." Her father nodded and went back to his phone. At school, things were getting harder. Lena used to love writing, but now she couldn't focus. Words felt heavy, like stones in her mouth. Her grades dropped, and teachers started asking if she was okay. She always answered, "I'm fine," because she didn't want to be a burden. At night, she stared at the ceiling, thinking about all the ways she felt like she didn't belong. She wondered why she felt so empty when she had a family, a home, and people who cared about her. She tried to tell her sister once. They were sitting on the bed, scrolling through pictures. Lena said quietly, "Do you ever feel tired of everything?" Her sister laughed and said, "Yeah, school's exhausting." Then she went back to her phone. Lena didn't push it. She felt silly for even asking. The warning signs grew louder. Lena stopped eating properly. She lost weight, and her eyes looked dull. She began writing in her notebook, not stories anymore, but sad thoughts she never showed anyone. She wrote about feeling invisible, about wishing she could disappear for a while. Sometimes she tore the pages out and threw them away, afraid someone might find them. Her family noticed she was quieter, but they blamed it on stress. "You just need to study harder," her father said. "Stop being lazy." Her mother told her to pray more and stop overthinking. No one asked how she truly felt. No one sat down and listened without judging. One evening, Lena came home after a long day at school. She had failed a math test, and a group of girls laughed at her in the hallway. She walked into her room and closed the door. The silence felt heavy. She sat on the bed and cried for a long time. Her chest hurt, and she couldn't breathe properly. In that moment, she felt like nobody would miss her if she wasn't there. She picked up her notebook and started writing a goodbye message. Her hands were shaking. She wasn't thinking clearly, only about how tired she felt. But before she could finish, her phone buzzed. It was a message from her cousin, Maya. "Hey, I had a weird dream about you. Are you okay?" it said. Lena stared at the message. Tears fell on the screen. For the first time in weeks, someone asked her that question. Not in a rushed way, not like it didn't matter. She typed back slowly. "Not really." Maya replied instantly. "Can I call you?" Lena nodded, even though Maya couldn't see it. When the call came, Lena tried to sound normal, but her voice broke. Maya listened quietly as Lena talked about school, about feeling lonely, about how her family didn't seem to understand. She didn't interrupt. She just listened. After a while, Maya said, "I'm really glad you told me. You don't have to go through this alone." Then she asked, "Are you safe right now?" That question made Lena pause. She looked around her room, at the messy desk, the posters on the wall, the notebook on her bed. She whispered, "I don't know." Maya stayed calm. She told Lena to put the notebook away and open her door. "Go sit with your mom," she said gently. You don't have to tell her everything, but don't be alone. Lena hesitated, but she did it. She walked to the living room where her mother was watching TV. Her mother looked surprised when Lena sat beside her. Without saying a word, Lena leaned her head on her mother's shoulder. Her mother froze at first, then slowly wrapped her arm around her. Something changed in that quiet moment. For the first time, her mother felt that something was truly wrong. Do you want me to continue with part 2? Write part 2 in 2,000 words. Her mother didn't move for a few seconds. The TV kept playing, but she wasn't watching anymore. She could feel Lena shaking slightly. At first, she thought her daughter was just tired, but then she noticed how tight Lena was holding her arm, like she was afraid to let go. Slowly, her mother turned the volume down and asked softly, "What's wrong, sweetheart?" Lena wanted to speak, but the words got stuck in her throat. She shook her head and pressed her face deeper into her mother's shoulder. Tears soaked into her shirt. Her mother felt her heart drop. This wasn't normal crying. This was pain. Real pain. "Did something happen at school?" her mother asked carefully. Lena whispered, "I'm tired, Mom. I'm really tired." Her mother sighed, thinking she understood. "School can be stressful. Everyone feels tired sometimes." Lena lifted her head and looked at her mother. Her eyes were red, and her face looked empty. "Not like this," she said quietly. "I feel tired of everything." Her mother didn't know what to say. She had never heard her daughter talk like that before. She tried to smile. "You just need rest. Tomorrow will be better." Lena nodded, but inside she felt worse. That was exactly what she feared. Nobody really understood. She stood up and said she was going to bed. Her mother watched her walk away, feeling a strange worry in her chest, but pushing it aside. That night, Lena couldn't sleep. Her cousin Maya kept messaging her, checking if she was okay. Lena replied slowly, telling her she sat with her mom but didn't say much. Maya asked her again if she felt safe. Lena wrote, "I think so." It wasn't a lie, but it wasn't the truth either. The next morning, Lena woke up late and missed breakfast again. Her father knocked on her door. "You're going to be late," he said in an annoyed voice. "I don't feel well," Lena replied. "You're always not feeling well," he snapped. "Life doesn't stop because you're tired." Lena got up without arguing. She went to school, but she felt like a ghost walking through the hallways. She didn't talk to anyone. In class, her teacher called her name twice before she even realized. At lunch, she sat alone. She pushed her food around and threw most of it away. That afternoon, the school counselor stopped her. "Lena, can we talk?" she asked kindly. Lena wanted to say no, but she followed her into the office. The counselor asked simple questions at first. "How are you doing? Are you okay at home?" Lena shrugged. "I'm fine." The counselor looked at her carefully. "Your teachers are worried. You've changed a lot lately." Lena didn't answer. She stared at the floor. The counselor leaned forward. "Sometimes when people feel sad inside, they hide it. But it's okay to talk. You're not weak." That word hit her hard. Weak. Lena felt tears fill her eyes. She whispered, "I don't want to be a problem." "You're not a problem," the counselor said gently. "You matter." Lena couldn't hold it in anymore. She started crying, telling her about feeling lonely, about failing tests, about how her family didn't listen. The counselor listened and nodded. When Lena finished, she said, "Thank you for telling me. That was brave." Then she asked, "Have you ever thought about hurting yourself?" Lena froze. Her heart started racing. She didn't want to answer, but she remembered Maya's voice asking if she was safe. Slowly, she nodded. "Have you made a plan?" the counselor asked. Lena whispered. Last night, I started writing a goodbye. The counselor stayed calm, but her face became serious. I'm really glad you're here right now. You did the right thing by coming. She told Lena that she needed to talk to her parents. Lena panicked. Please don't. They'll be mad. They won't be mad, the counselor said. They love you. They just don't know how bad it is. Lena wasn't sure about that, but she was too tired to argue. That evening, her parents were called to school. When they arrived, they looked confused and slightly annoyed. They thought it was about grades. When the counselor started talking about Lena's mental health, their faces changed. Your daughter has been struggling a lot, the counselor said. She's feeling very low, and she admitted she thought about hurting herself. Her mother gasped. That's not true, she said quickly. She never said anything. Her father frowned. Lena, is this some kind of excuse for bad grades? Lena felt her heart break. She whispered, No, Dad. The counselor spoke firmly. This is serious. She needs support. This is not about grades. There was a long silence. Lena's mother started crying. I didn't know, she said. Why didn't you tell me? Lena wanted to scream. She wanted to say, I tried. But she just sat there, shaking. The counselor explained the warning signs and how Lena showed many of them. Sleeping too much, losing interest, isolation, hopeless thoughts. Lena's parents listened in shock. They felt guilty. They realized how blind they had been. We recommend therapy, the counselor said, and more communication at home. She needs to feel safe. On the way home, nobody spoke. The car felt heavy. When they got home, Lena went straight to her room. She thought her parents would leave her alone again, but this time her mother followed her. She sat on the bed and said, Lena, I'm sorry. I didn't know you were hurting this much. Lena looked away. I tried to tell you. Her mother felt a knife in her heart. I know. And I didn't listen properly. I thought it was just mood swings. I'm so sorry. Her father stood at the door, uncomfortable. Why didn't you tell me it was this bad? He asked. Lena looked at him. Because you always tell me I'm lazy, that I'm weak. Her father opened his mouth, then closed it. He didn't know what to say. For the first time, he realized his words hurt more than he thought. I didn't mean it like that, he said quietly. But it feels like that, Lena replied. Every day. Her father sat down slowly. I didn't know I was hurting you. I thought I was making you strong. Lena laughed bitterly. It just makes me feel useless. Silence filled the room. Her father rubbed his face. I'm sorry, he said, barely loud enough to hear. That was the first time Lena ever heard him say, sorry. They talked for a long time that night. It wasn't easy. There were tears, angry words, and long pauses. Lena told them about the girls at school, about feeling invisible, about the notebook. Her mother hugged her and cried. Her father listened, looking broken. We love you, her mother said. We just didn't show it right. Lena wanted to believe her. She really did. The next few days were strange. Her parents checked on her often. Sometimes it felt annoying, but sometimes it felt good. Her mother started asking about her day. Her father stopped shouting. But Lena still felt empty. The pain didn't disappear just because they knew. They took her to a therapist. At first, Lena hated it. Sitting in a room talking to a stranger felt weird. But the therapist was kind. She didn't judge. She listened. Slowly, Lena started opening up. She talked about feeling like she had to be perfect, about how she was scared of failing, about how lonely she felt even in a room full of people. The therapist taught her small things, like writing feelings instead of hiding them, breathing when panic hits, telling someone when it gets too heavy. One afternoon, Lena came home and found her sister waiting in her room. "Mom told me," her sister said softly, "about everything." Lena felt embarrassed. "So now you think I'm crazy too?" "No," her sister said quickly. "I feel stupid. You asked me that day if I was tired of everything. I laughed. I'm sorry." Lena didn't answer. Her sister hugged her tightly. "You don't have to hide from me anymore," she said. That hug felt different. Real. Things weren't perfect. Lena still had bad days. Some mornings, she didn't want to get out of bed. Some nights, the dark thoughts came back. But now, she wasn't completely alone. Her cousin Maya kept calling her. "I'm proud of you," she said. "You're stronger than you think." Lena didn't feel strong. She felt tired. But she was still here. And that had to mean something. One night, Lena found her old notebook. The goodbye message was still there, unfinished. She read it and cried. Then she took a pen and wrote under it, "I'm still here." She closed the notebook and put it away. Downstairs, her parents were talking quietly. She heard her father say, "We almost lost her." Her mother replied, "Never again." Lena leaned against the wall and listened. For the first time, she felt like they finally saw her. Not the perfect daughter. Not the quiet girl. But the real her. Broken, tired, but still breathing. She didn't know what the future would bring. But she knew one thing. If Maya hadn't messaged her that night, if she hadn't sat beside her mother, things could have ended very differently. That scared her. But it also made her grateful. Do you want me to continue with part 3? Write part 3 in 2,000 words. The days after everything came out felt strange, like Lena was living in someone else's life. Her parents tried hard to act normal, but it was obvious they were scared. Her mother checked on her every hour, bringing tea, asking if she ate, asking if she slept. Her father didn't yell anymore, but he looked lost, like he didn't know how to talk to her without hurting her. At first, all the attention made Lena uncomfortable. She had spent so long feeling invisible that now being seen felt overwhelming. Sometimes she wanted to scream, "Stop watching me like I'm about to break." Other times, she felt warm inside because for once, they cared. School was still hard. The girls who laughed at her hadn't stopped. They whispered when she walked past. One of them even said loudly, "She's so weird." Lena felt her chest tighten, but she remembered what her therapist told her. Their words don't define you. Still, it hurt. In class, her teacher returned a test. Lena got a low grade again. She felt the familiar shame wash over her. Her hands shook. Before, she would have hidden it, but this time she took a deep breath and told herself it was okay to struggle. It didn't mean she was useless. After school, she sat alone on the bus. A boy from her class sat beside her. He never talked to her before. "Hey," he said awkwardly. I heard you weren't doing well." Lena felt nervous. "Who told you?" "People talk," he said. "But I just wanted to say, you're not weird. I like how you write in class. Your stories are cool." Lena blinked. "You read them?" "Yeah," he smiled. "They're deep." For a second, Lena forgot how to speak. Someone noticed her writing. Someone cared. "Thanks," she said softly. That small moment stayed with her all day. That evening, she went to therapy again. The therapist asked how her week was. Lena told her about school, about the girls, about the boy who complimented her. She smiled. "See? Not everyone is against you." Lena nodded, but she still felt scared. "What if I get bad again?" she asked. What if I feel like I want to disappear? The therapist leaned forward. Healing isn't straight. You will have good days and bad days. The important thing is what you do when it gets bad. What should I do? Lena asked. Tell someone. Your mom, your sister, Maya, me. Don't stay silent. Silence is what almost hurt you. Lena thought about the notebook, about that night. She nodded slowly. At home, her father surprised her. He knocked on her door, something he never did before. Can I come in? He asked. Lena hesitated, then said yes. He sat on the chair near her desk. He looked nervous. I've been thinking about what you said, he started. About me calling you lazy. I didn't know it hurt you so much. Lena stayed quiet. When I was young, he continued, my father was very strict. He never praised me. He only pushed me. I thought that's how you make someone strong. He sighed. But I see now. It just made me afraid. I don't want you to feel afraid of me. Lena felt tears in her eyes. I was scared of telling you things, she admitted. I thought you'd get angry. Her father nodded. I probably would have, he said honestly, but I'm trying to change. He paused. I'm proud of you, for being honest, for staying. That sentence hit her heart. Proud. He never said that before. Thank you, Lena whispered. That night, she wrote in her notebook again. But this time, it wasn't goodbye words. She wrote about the boy on the bus, about her dad saying he was proud, about how small things made her feel lighter. She didn't feel happy, but she felt less heavy. A few days later, her cousin Maya came to visit. She hugged Lena tightly. You scared me, she said. I scared myself, Lena replied. They sat on the bed, talking for hours. Maya told her about her own struggles, about a time she almost gave up too. You're not broken, she said. You're human. Lena smiled a little. I wish my family noticed earlier. They're trying now, Maya said. That matters. One evening, Lena overheard her parents arguing in the kitchen. I should have listened, her mother cried. She was right in front of me. Her father replied, We both failed her. Lena felt a strange mix of sadness and relief. They were finally admitting it, not blaming her, blaming themselves. Later, her mother came to her room and sat beside her. We're thinking of family therapy, she said, so we can learn how to talk better. Lena was surprised. You want to go too? Yes, her mother nodded. We all need help. For the first time, Lena didn't feel like the problem. She felt like part of a team trying to fix things together. At school, things slowly changed. The girls still whispered, but Lena didn't hide anymore. She joined a writing club. It was small, but people shared stories. One girl said, Your writing makes me feel less alone. That sentence made Lena's heart race. She realized something important. Her pain could help others. Her words could mean something. One day she read a short piece about feeling invisible. The room went quiet. Then someone clapped. Then everyone did. Lena almost cried. That night she told her family about it. Her sister smiled. I knew you were talented. Her mother hugged her. I'm proud of you. Her father smiled awkwardly. See? Not lazy at all. They all laughed. It wasn't perfect, but it felt real. But not everything was easy. One weekend, Lena woke up feeling heavy again. She didn't want to leave bed. Her thoughts started going dark. What if this happiness is fake? What if it disappears? She stared at the ceiling, heart racing. Before, she would have stayed silent. But she remembered the therapist's words. She grabbed her phone and texted Maya. I'm not feeling okay. Maya replied immediately. I'm here. Talk to me." Then Lena went downstairs. Her mother was cooking. Lena stood there quietly. Her mother turned. "What's wrong?" Lena took a deep breath. "I feel bad again. Like, really bad." Her mother dropped the spoon and hugged her. "Thank you for telling me." They sat together. Her mother didn't give advice. She just listened. That was new. Lena cried, then slowly felt calmer. The thoughts didn't disappear, but they didn't control her either. Later, her father brought her hot chocolate. "Bad days happen," he said. "We'll get through them." Lena smiled weakly. Okay. Weeks passed. Therapy continued. School became more manageable. Lena learned how to speak when things hurt. She learned it was okay to fail. She learned she didn't have to be perfect to be loved. One afternoon, she found the old goodbye pages in her notebook. She read them again. They felt like they belonged to a different person, a version of her who felt trapped. She took a pen and wrote, "I was hurting, but I survived. And I'm still learning to live." She closed the notebook and placed it in a drawer. That night, her family ate dinner together. Her father asked about her day. Her sister told a funny story. Her mother laughed. Lena felt warm inside. Not perfect, but safe. She thought about that night when everything almost ended, about how close she was to disappearing. It scared her, but it also made her grateful she stayed. She realized something important. Healing wasn't about never feeling sad again. It was about knowing you weren't alone when sadness came. Before going to bed, she messaged Maya, "Thank you for that night." Maya replied, "Thank you for staying." Lena smiled and turned off her phone. She didn't know what tomorrow would bring, but she knew she would face it. One breath at a time, one day at a time, and this time, she wouldn't face it alone. Do you want me to continue with part 4? Write part 4 in 2,000 words. Life slowly started to feel different for Lena. Not easy, not perfect, but different. She still had mornings where getting out of bed felt like lifting a mountain. She still had nights when her thoughts got loud and messy. But now she had tools. She had people. She wasn't drowning alone anymore. Family therapy started the next week. At first it was awkward. Sitting in a circle with a stranger while talking about feelings felt uncomfortable. Her father crossed his arms. Her sister stared at the floor. Her mother kept wiping her eyes. The therapist, a calm woman with kind eyes, asked simple questions. "How do you usually show love in this family?" Her mother said, "By cooking, by taking care." Her father said, "By pushing them to be strong." Her sister shrugged. "I don't know. We don't really talk." Then the therapist looked at Lena. "And how do you feel loved?" Lena hesitated. "I don't think I did before," she said quietly. "Not in the way I needed." Her parents flinched. "What did you need?" the therapist asked. "Someone to listen," Lena replied. "Not fix things, not judge, just listen." The room went quiet. Her father looked down. Her mother reached for Lena's hand. "I didn't know how," her mother whispered. "My parents never listened to me either." The therapist nodded. "That's how patterns continue. But you're here now. That means you want to change." Session by session, they started opening up. Her father talked about his childhood, how his own father never hugged him, how he learned to hide emotions. Her sister admitted she felt ignored too, just in a different way. Lena realized she wasn't the only one hurting. They were all broken in small ways. At school, Lena kept going to the writing club. She started writing short pieces about mental health, about feeling invisible, about finding light in dark places. People started talking to her more. Not because they felt sorry for her, but because they related. One girl named Hannah came up to her after a meeting. "Your story about the dark room, that's how I feel at home." Lena swallowed. "You're not alone," she said softly. They started sitting together at lunch, talking about music, dreams, and fears. It felt good. Real. One afternoon, Lena got called into the principal's office. Her heart started racing. She thought she was in trouble, but when she walked in, her writing teacher was there too. "We wanted to tell you something," the principal smiled. "Your teacher submitted one of your pieces to a student contest." Lena's eyes widened. "You did what?" Her teacher laughed. "You deserve it." A week later, Lena found out she won second place. It wasn't a big prize, just a certificate and a small scholarship. But to her, it meant everything. Someone believed in her. She came home waving the paper. "Mom! Dad!" They rushed in. When she showed them, her mother started crying. Her father hugged her tightly. "I told you," he said, smiling. "You're talented." For the first time, Lena believed it too. But healing isn't straight. It never is. One weekend, Lena got a message from one of the girls who used to bully her. "Sorry about before," it said. "I was just joking." Lena stared at the screen. Her chest tightened. Those jokes hurt. A lot. She wanted to reply something angry, something sharp. But instead, she took a deep breath and wrote, "It hurt me. I'm trying to move on." There was no reply, but Lena felt proud. She stood up for herself, without being cruel. That night she had a dream. She was back in her dark room, the one she always wrote about. But this time, there was a small window. Light was coming in. She woke up with tears in her eyes. Not sad tears. Soft ones. At therapy, she told her therapist about the dream. "That window," the therapist said. "That's hope." Lena nodded. "I'm scared to trust it." "That's normal," the therapist replied. "Hope feels risky when you've been hurt." Lena thought about it all day. Her parents continued trying. Sometimes they failed. Her father still raised his voice sometimes. Her mother still tried to fix everything. But now, when it happened, they talked about it. They apologized. That mattered. One evening, her father knocked on her door again. "I lost my temper today," he admitted. "I'm sorry." Lena smiled weakly. "Thank you for saying that." They sat together quietly. "Can I ask you something?" her father said. "Okay. Do you still have those thoughts?" Lena hesitated. Then she nodded. "Sometimes." Her father's eyes filled with fear. "What do I do when you feel like that?" "Just be here," Lena said. "Like this." He nodded. "I can do that." That night, Lena wrote in her notebook again. She wrote about forgiveness, about how hard it was, about how her father was trying, about how she was trying too. Weeks turned into months. Lena got stronger, slowly, not in a loud way, in a quiet way. She learned to notice when her thoughts went dark. She learned to ask for help before they took over. She learned that rest wasn't laziness, that crying wasn't weakness. One day, the school counselor asked her to talk to a younger student who was struggling. Lena felt nervous. "I'm not a therapist," she said. "You don't have to be," the counselor replied. "Just listen." So Lena sat with the girl, who looked scared and small. "I feel invisible," the girl whispered. Lena's heart hurt. "Me too," she said. "I used to." They talked for an hour. Lena didn't give advice. She just listened, just like she once needed. When the girl left, she hugged Lena. "Thank you," she said. Lena felt something warm inside. Purpose. At home, she told her family about it. Her mother smiled. "You're helping others." Her father nodded. "I'm proud of the person you're becoming." Lena felt tears. "I'm still scared sometimes." "That's okay," her mother said. "Brave people are scared too." One night, Lena found her old goodbye pages again. She almost threw them away. But instead, she kept them. They reminded her how far she had come, how close she came to disappearing, how lucky she was to still be here. She added another line under her last message. "If you're reading this in the future, remember, you survived." She closed the notebook. Later, she heard her parents laughing downstairs. A soft, real laugh. She hadn't heard that in a long time. It made her smile. She realized something important. Her family wasn't perfect. They never would be. But they were trying. And she was trying too. That was enough. That night, she stood by her window and looked at the stars. She thought about all the nights she wished she wouldn't wake up. And now, she wanted to see tomorrow. Not because everything was good, but because she knew she could handle bad days now. She whispered to herself, "I'm still here." And for the first time, it didn't sound sad. It sounded strong. Do you want me to continue with part 5? Write part 5 in 2,000 words. Winter rolled in slowly, brushing the town in cold wind and gray skies. Most people hated the season. Lena didn't mind it as much anymore. There was something honest about the way the trees stood bare, stripped of their leaves, showing all their rough edges and scars. She felt like one of them, still standing, even without the pretty pieces she used to hide behind. She'd gotten used to the cold air biting her cheeks as she walked to school, bundled up in layers, her breath coming out in clouds. She still wore the same jacket she had last year. Her father offered to buy her a new one, but she told him she didn't want to waste money. "You deserve new things," he said quietly. "It's not a waste." She didn't know how to respond to that. It still surprised her when her parents said things like that. They were changing, yes, trying, but sometimes she struggled to believe the change would last. She'd spent too long doubting their love to trust it completely just yet. But trust wasn't a light switch. It was a slow build, like the way snow gathers, flake by flake, barely noticeable at first. Then one day, everything's covered in white. At school, things were better, not perfect. Lena didn't suddenly become popular, and the girls who used to laugh at her still existed. But they didn't bother her anymore. She no longer gave them power. Instead, she found her circle. A quiet one. A few people from her writing club, her new friend Hannah, and a boy named Eli who had been in her science class for 2 years, but only recently started talking to her. Eli was quiet like her. He had a stutter when he got nervous, and he blushed easily when people looked at him too long. But he was kind in the way that mattered. He never asked too much, never tried to fix her. He just sat beside her during lunch, sometimes sharing dumb memes or asking what she was writing about. One day he gave her a book, something he said helped him when he was going through a dark time. "It's not happy," he said, handing it to her awkwardly. "But it's real. I think you'll like it." She did. It was raw and painful and hopeful in a way that didn't feel forced. She read it in 2 days and messaged him that night. Lena. "I finished it, thank you. It felt like someone finally put my thoughts into words." Eli. "That's how I felt too." They didn't talk much after that, at least not about deep things, but the silence between them felt safe. At therapy, Lena told her therapist about him, about how being around someone who didn't expect her to be cheerful all the time felt like a gift. "Sounds like you're building healthy connections," the therapist said. That's part of healing. Is it weird that I still feel broken sometimes? Lena asked. Even when things are going okay? The therapist smiled. No, healing doesn't erase pain. It teaches you how to live with it. Lena thought about that all week. The holidays arrived faster than she expected. Her mother decorated the house like she always did. Too many lights, clashing colors, ornaments that had lost their shine. Lena used to roll her eyes at it. This year she helped untangle the lights without being asked. Her mother noticed. I like it when you're in the living room, she said gently. It feels brighter. Lena shrugged. It's just lights. I don't mean the decorations. Lena looked away, but she smiled. The family therapy sessions continued. Some were harder than others. They talked about old wounds, fights, even memories Lena had forgotten until they were pulled out like splinters. Sometimes her sister stormed out. Sometimes her father looked like he was going to cry but didn't know how. One night, after a particularly heavy session, her mother sat with her in the kitchen. I used to think if I admitted I messed up as a mother, it meant I failed completely, she said, stirring her tea. But pretending I was doing everything right almost cost me my daughter. Lena stayed quiet. I'm sorry for not seeing you, her mother said. Really seeing you. You see me now, Lena replied. That's what matters. The new year came with a storm. Heavy snow buried the town, shutting schools and trapping families inside. Lena sat by her window, notebook in hand, writing quietly. She wasn't writing about death anymore. Not directly. Her stories still carried shadows, but they had light, too. She wrote about a girl who found a map in a library that led to all the places people hid their pain. She wrote about a boy who carried his sadness in a backpack, thinking it made him weak until he realized it made him brave. One night, she read a story aloud at the writing club. When she finished, Hannah whispered, You should publish these. Lena laughed. Who'd read them? I would, Hannah said, and I bet a lot of others would too. Eli nodded beside her. You make people feel seen. That night, Lena thought about all the times she'd felt invisible. All the times she'd wished someone would notice her without her having to scream. Now, they were noticing. A few days later, she got an email from the counselor at school. Subject, Speaking Opportunity. Hi, Lena. I hope you're doing well. I wanted to ask if you'd be interested in speaking at this year's Student Wellness Assembly. It's about mental health awareness, and your story could help a lot of students who feel alone. Of course, there's no pressure. Let me know what you think. Warmly, Miss Rivera Lena stared at the email for 10 minutes, heart pounding. Speak? In front of the whole school? Her hands shook just thinking about it. She didn't reply that day, or the next. At therapy, she mentioned it. They want me to speak at the assembly. And how does that make you feel? Her therapist asked, terrified. Do you want to do it? I don't know. Part of me wants to hide. The other part, I think about the version of me sitting in that crowd last year, wishing someone would say something real. Sounds like you already know your answer, the therapist said with a smile. It took her 3 days to write the speech. She rewrote it 6 times, deleted most of it, cried once in frustration. But in the end, it came together. The night before the assembly, she barely slept. Her mother offered to call the school and cancel. You don't have to prove anything to anyone, she said. I'm not doing it for them, Lena replied. I'm doing it for me. The auditorium was packed. Rows of students, some chewing gum, some scrolling their phones, teachers standing near the walls. The lights above were hot. Her palms were sweaty. She almost turned around, almost. But then she saw Hannah in the front row, smiling, Eli beside her giving her a small thumbs up. and just behind them, her father and mother. Her sister, too. She stepped up to the microphone. At first, her voice trembled. "Hi, I'm Lena. Some of you know me, most of you don't. Last year, I almost didn't make it to this one." Silence. I looked fine on the outside. I smiled in class. I said I was tired. But inside, I was falling apart. And no one really saw it, not even my family. She paused, letting the words settle. I wanted to disappear. I thought it would be easier, quieter. Someone in the back coughed. The room was so still she could hear her own heartbeat. But someone did see me. My cousin. She messaged me at the right time. That message saved my life. And after that, things started to change. She talked about therapy, about writing, about dark thoughts and bright days, about how healing isn't a straight road. She ended with this. "If you're hurting right now, I see you. If you feel invisible, you're not. And if you think the world would be better without you, I promise, it won't be." She stepped back. The silence was thick. Then someone clapped, then another. Soon, the whole auditorium was on its feet. Lena stood there, stunned. Afterwards, students she'd never spoken to came up and thanked her. One girl cried. A boy said, "You said everything I've been thinking." Her parents hugged her so tight she could barely breathe. "I'm so proud of you," her father whispered. Her mother just cried. Eli walked up last. "That was brave," he said. "I was shaking the whole time." "Still brave?" She smiled. "Thanks for being here." "Always." That night, she sat at her desk and opened her notebook one last time. She flipped past the goodbye pages, past the early journal entries, past the poems and stories. At the end, she wrote, "I didn't think I'd make it, but I did. And now I'm helping others make it too." Maybe that's what survival is. It's not just breathing, it's speaking, sharing, healing. She closed the notebook. Outside, snow was falling again. Soft, silent, but beautiful. "Do you want me to continue with part 6? Write part 6 in 2,000 words. The weeks after the assembly felt unreal to Lena. She didn't expect the reaction she got. She thought people would forget about it the next day. But they didn't. Students she barely knew stopped her in the hallway. "Your speech, it helped me. I cried listening to you. I showed it to my sister. She's struggling too." Every time someone said those words, Lena felt a mix of pride and fear. Pride because she helped. Fear because she worried she wouldn't always be strong enough to keep helping. One afternoon, she sat in the library, staring at a blank page in her notebook. For the first time in months, she didn't know what to write. Her head felt crowded. Hannah sat beside her. "You okay?" "I don't know," Lena admitted. "I feel like people expect me to always be okay now, like I'm the strong girl who survived." Hannah nodded. "That's heavy." "What if I have another bad day?" Lena whispered. "What if I fall apart again?" "Then you fall apart," Hannah said simply. "And you get back up, like everyone else." Lena smiled weakly. "You make it sound easy." "It's not," Hannah replied. "But it's real." At home, things kept changing. Her father started cooking dinner once a week. He burned the rice the first time, and everyone laughed. Her mother didn't rush to fix it. They ordered pizza instead and joked about it all night. Her sister became softer. She knocked before entering Lena's room now. She even started opening up about her own problems. "I feel like Mom and Dad never noticed me either," she admitted one night. Lena hugged her. "We're both learning how to speak." They stayed up talking until 2 a.m., laughing and crying at the same time, but not everything stayed peaceful. One night Lena had a nightmare. She was back in her dark room, alone, the goodbye letter in her hand. She woke up gasping for air, heart racing, body shaking. She sat up, holding her chest, tears streaming down. It's just a dream, she told herself. But it didn't feel like it. She didn't want to wake her parents. She didn't want to worry them. But the fear was too heavy. So she texted Eli. Lena, are you awake? A minute passed. 2. Then, Eli, yeah. What's wrong? Lena, I had a bad dream. I feel stupid for freaking out. Eli, you're not stupid. Want to talk? They called each other quietly so they wouldn't wake their families. Lena told him about the dream, about the fear of going back to that dark place. I thought I was past it, she said. You don't have to be past it, Eli replied. It doesn't mean you failed. But it feels like I did, she whispered. Look, he said softly. You reached out. That's not failing. That's surviving. Lena cried silently. Thank you, she said, for answering. Always, he replied, even at 3 a.m. After the call, Lena felt calmer. Not perfect, but safer. At her next therapy session, she talked about the nightmare. Her therapist nodded. Trauma doesn't disappear. It visits sometimes. What matters is how you respond. I reached out, Lena said quietly. And that's huge, the therapist smiled. You didn't face it alone. Lena thought about that all day. The counselor asked her to help start a small support group at school. Just a quiet room once a week where students could talk or sit silently. Lena was nervous but agreed. The first meeting had 3 people. They sat in a circle, awkward and quiet. I'm not a therapist, Lena said. I'm just someone who understands. A girl spoke first. My parents fight every night. A boy said, I feel like I'm invisible. Another whispered, I cut myself. Lena's heart hurt, but she didn't panic. She listened. She thanked them for being brave. When the meeting ended, they looked lighter. Not healed, but heard. One evening, Lena overheard her parents talking again. She's doing so much, her mother said. What if it's too much? Her father sighed. I'm scared too, but I trust her. Lena felt tears form. They trusted her. Later, her father knocked on her door. Are you okay? I think so, she said. You don't have to be strong for everyone, he added. Not even for us. Lena hugged him. Thank you. Then something unexpected happened. One of the girls who bullied her before came to the support group. She looked nervous, arms crossed. Lena almost didn't recognize her. I didn't think you'd come, Lena admitted. The girl looked down. I'm not okay either. They sat in silence. Later, the girl said quietly, I'm sorry for how I treated you. Lena swallowed. Her heart beat fast. It hurt, Lena replied honestly. I know, the girl said. I was angry at my own life. I took it out on you. Lena took a deep breath. I forgive you. It wasn't easy, but it felt right. Spring slowly arrived. Trees bloomed. Sunlight lasted longer. Lena felt lighter in the mornings. She even started jogging sometimes, not to punish her body, but to feel alive. One afternoon, she sat on a hill with Hannah and Eli, watching the sky turn orange. Do you ever think about the future? Hannah asked. All the time, Lena replied. It scares me. Why? Because I never thought I'd have one, Lena said honestly. Eli looked at her. You do now. Lena smiled. But fear returned one evening. She failed an important test. A big one. She walked home in silence, hands shaking. The old voice came back. You're useless. You'll never succeed. You're a burden. She stood in front of her house, unable to go in. Tears fell. She almost turned around and walked away. But then she remembered the assembly, the kids who thanked her, the notebook, her family. She opened the door. Her mother noticed her face immediately. "What happened?" "I failed," Lena whispered. Her mother hugged her. "That's okay." Her father joined. "We'll figure it out." Lena broke down. "I feel like I disappoint everyone." Her father shook his head. "No, you're human." They sat together on the couch. No yelling, no blaming, just love. That night, Lena wrote, "I failed today, but I didn't disappear. I stayed. That counts." She closed the notebook. A week later, the counselor told Lena something shocking. "A parent called me today," she said. "They thanked you. Their son told them about the group. He asked for help because of you." Lena's eyes filled with tears. "Really?" "Yes," the counselor smiled. "You saved him from silence." Lena felt her chest tighten. "This is why I stayed," she thought. Later that evening, she stood outside, looking at the stars. She thought about that night when Maya messaged her. How close she came to ending everything. Now people were alive because she spoke. That felt heavy, but also beautiful. Her cousin Maya called her. "I heard about the assembly," she laughed. "You're famous now?" Lena smiled. "You're the reason I'm here." Maya went quiet. "No, you're the reason. I just reminded you." They stayed on the phone for hours, like old times. One night, Lena sat in her room, listening to music. Eli texted her. "Eli, want to go for coffee this weekend?" Lena smiled. Lena. "Yeah, I'd like that." Her heart beat fast. Not anxiety this time. Something softer. Hope. Before sleeping, she whispered to herself, "I'm still here." But this time she added, "And I'm glad." She didn't know what tomorrow would bring, but she knew this. She would keep choosing to stay, again and again and again. Do you want me to continue with part 7? Write part 7 in 2,000 words. The coffee shop was small, tucked between a bookstore and a laundromat, and smelled like cinnamon and something sweet Lena couldn't quite name. She had walked past it 100 times, never once imagining she'd sit there across from someone who made her feel seen. Eli was already at the table when she arrived, tapping his fingers nervously against a mug. When he looked up and saw her, his whole face lit up. Not in a dramatic, over-the-top kind of way, but in that quiet, sincere way that made Lena's chest tighten just a little. "Hey," he said, standing up awkwardly, like he wasn't sure whether to hug her or not. "Hey," Lena smiled, slipping off her jacket. "You been waiting long?" "No, I came early. Habit, I guess." He rubbed the back of his neck. "I get nervous being late." She sat down and tucked her hair behind her ear. "You don't seem nervous." "I hide it well." They laughed softly. It was strange how easy it felt. Being with Eli wasn't like being with other people. She didn't have to fake a smile or force small talk. She could just be Lena. They ordered hot drinks and a couple of pastries. Eli got a chai latte. Lena went for black coffee. She liked the bitterness lately, the way it reminded her that she was still alive, still feeling. "So," Eli started, "you're basically a local celebrity now." Lena rolled her eyes. "Please don't." "Too late." "I saw someone from the junior year trying to take your picture during lunch." She groaned, covering her face. "No!" "It's not a bad thing," he said seriously. "You helped a lot of people, Lena. You helped me." She looked up at him. "You never told me that." "I didn't want to make it about me, but yeah. Your speech, it made me feel like maybe I wasn't as broken as I thought." Lena swallowed hard. "You don't seem broken." "I don't think we ever seem how we really are," he said. "You didn't." That hit her deep. She remembered all those months pretending to be fine, the laughter that felt fake, the eyes that felt empty. "I was good at hiding," she whispered. Eli nodded. "Me too." There was a silence then, but it wasn't uncomfortable. Just the kind where both people are sitting with the weight of truth and letting it breathe between them. They spent the afternoon talking about music, books, and stupid childhood memories. Eli confessed he used to cry during Pixar movies. Lena admitted she still did. When it was time to leave, Eli walked her home. It was cold, the wind biting at their faces, but Lena didn't care. She hadn't felt this warm in months. When they reached her door, he hesitated. "Can I tell you something?" he asked. "Of course." "I like you," he said, voice barely above a whisper. "Not because you gave a speech or because you're strong. I just like you. You as you are." Lena froze. The old Lena would have panicked. She would have shut down or run away, but the Lena standing here now had survived darker things than love. "I like you too," she said softly. Eli smiled. "Cool," she laughed. "You're such a dork." "Yeah," he said. "But I'm your dork now." Inside, her mother noticed her flushed cheeks and quiet smile. "You okay?" she asked. Lena nodded. "Yeah, I'm okay." "You look more than okay." "I might be," she said. Her mother smiled. "That's all I ever wanted." The days that followed felt lighter, not because everything was perfect, but because Lena had built something new. Connections, purpose, love. Even on bad days, there was always something pulling her forward. But the thing about healing is, it doesn't give you warnings when it slips. One afternoon, Lena was called to the counselor's office again. A younger girl from the support group had been hospitalized after a suicide attempt. Lena's breath caught. "She's stable now," Ms. Rivera said gently. "But it's serious." Lena sat down hard in the chair. "I didn't know she was that bad." "You're not responsible," the counselor said. "You've done more than anyone." "But what if I missed the signs? What if—" "Lena," she said firmly, "you're not a therapist. You're a student, a survivor. You help, yes. But you can't save everyone. That's not your job." Lena blinked back tears. "It feels like it is sometimes." "I know," she said. "But you matter too. You need to protect your own mental health." That night, Lena couldn't sleep. She kept replaying the last conversation she had with the girl. How normal she had seemed. How she smiled and said she was doing better. Lena cried for hours, for the girl, for herself, for all the silent battles no one sees. The next support group meeting was quiet. Fewer people showed up. Everyone looked shaken. Lena stood at the front. She didn't want to say anything at first. But then she looked around and realized they needed her honesty. "I know we're all scared right now," she began. "Someone we care about is hurting. Maybe we feel like we should have seen it coming. Maybe we're wondering if we're next. I get it." She paused, her voice shaking. "I had a dream last night. I was back in that dark room again. But this time, there were people outside, trying to get in. And I realized I'm not alone anymore. None of us are." A few people started crying. "We can't promise to save each other," she said. "But we can promise not to stay silent, to say, 'I'm not okay,' and know that someone will hear you." They lit a candle for the girl. They wrote letters she could read when she came back. It wasn't much, but it was something. And something was always better than nothing. Weeks passed. The girl returned to school, quieter than before, but alive. She hugged Lena without words. Lena wrote about it in her notebook. "Some wounds don't close all the way, but we still keep living, still keep loving. Eli became more than a friend. They didn't label anything. They didn't rush. Some days they just sat in silence, reading next to each other. Other days they talked for hours about fears, hopes, what it means to feel everything so deeply. One afternoon, Eli asked, "What scares you the most now?" Lena thought for a while. "That I'll forget how dark it got, and stop helping people who are still there." Eli nodded. "You won't. It's in you now." "And you?" she asked. He looked at the sky. "That I'll love someone too much and lose them." Lena reached for his hand. "You won't lose me." Graduation was approaching. Lena was chosen to give the closing speech. She stood on stage, looking out at her classmates, her teachers, her family. "I almost didn't make it to this moment," she began. "A year ago, I thought I'd never see another summer. But someone saw me, listened, and gave me a reason to stay." She looked at her family, at Eli, at Maya, who had come just for this. "I don't stand here as someone who has everything figured out. I still have bad days. I still struggle. But I've learned that surviving isn't the end. It's the beginning." She paused. "And if you're struggling, if you ever feel like it's too much, please don't stay quiet. You matter. Your story matters. And it's not over yet." Standing ovation. Her father cried. Her mother held her like she was 5 years old again. Her sister whispered, "You're amazing." And Lena believed it. For once, she believed it. That night, she opened her notebook one last time. "I survived. I healed. I helped others. And now, I'm living." She didn't write the end, because it wasn't. It was only the beginning. "Do you want me to continue with the final part 8? Write part 8 in 2,000 words. Summer arrived gently that year. Soft breezes, long evenings, sunlight spilling through Lena's window in the early mornings, like an invitation to something new. Graduation was behind her, the speech a memory that still echoed in the halls of her school. She had watched her classmates toss their caps into the air, laughter rising like fireworks, and for once, she felt like she belonged in that joy. She was no longer the girl sitting at the back of the class, shrinking into silence, pretending she wasn't falling apart. She was no longer surviving. She was living. Still healing, yes, still carrying shadows, but they no longer weighed her down the way they once did. They were just there, a part of her story. And now Lena was writing a new chapter. She took a job at the local bookstore for the summer. It wasn't glamorous. She stacked shelves, organized displays, helped customers find novels they'd forget to finish. But she loved it. The smell of paper, the silence between shelves, the hum of quiet conversations. It gave her a sense of peace. "Don't you want to go on some wild summer adventure before college?" Hannah asked one day, twirling a smoothie straw between her fingers. "I think I've had enough emotional roller coasters to last me a while," Lena smiled. "I mean, fair," Hannah said with a laugh. "Still, I'm proud of you. You're a different person than when I met you." "No," Lena replied softly. "I think I'm the same person. I just stopped hiding her." College was coming, and with it, 1,000 unknowns. Lena had been accepted into a university 2 hours away. Not too far, not too close. Her parents were supportive, though her mother cried the day they started shopping for dorm supplies. "You're going to do amazing things," she said, holding a pack of sheets like it was something sacred. "I'm just going to school, Mom." "You're going to change lives. You already have." Lena looked away, shy but smiling. It was still hard to hear praise without feeling like she didn't deserve it. But she was learning to let it in, one word at a time. Her father surprised her by building a small bookshelf for her dorm room. "I want you to have a piece of home with you," he said, running his hand along the polished wood. "Fill it with stories, yours and others." Lena hugged him tightly. He didn't always have the right words, but his actions spoke volumes now. In July, Lena received an email from a small online magazine that focused on teen mental health and storytelling. "We came across your graduation speech and would love for you to contribute a column, something honest, raw, and reflective of your journey." She reread the email 5 times. Then she said yes. Her first piece was titled, "The Girl Who Almost Gave Up and Then Didn't." It went viral in a small way. Comments flooded in from the teens and young adults, strangers writing to say how much they saw themselves in her words. One comment stayed with her. "I was going to end my life next week. Then I read your story. I'm staying. Thank you." Lena closed her laptop and cried, not because she was sad, but because she finally understood the full weight of staying. That night, she met Eli at the hill they always visited, where the sky felt close enough to touch, where they first talked about fear and love and what it meant to keep going. He brought ice cream. She brought her notebook. "Read me something," Eli said, lying on the grass beside her. Lena hesitated. "It's not finished." "Neither are we," he smiled. So she read. A new piece about letting go, about how the pain didn't vanish. It changed shape, became softer, rounder, something she could carry in her pocket instead of on her shoulders. When she finished, Eli reached for her hand. "I'm going to miss you," he said. "I'm not disappearing," she replied. "I know," he said, "but it's hard not to feel like I'm losing a part of you." "You're not," she promised. "You were there when I found myself again. That doesn't go away." He kissed her softly. Not a fireworks kind of kiss, but steady, safe. Lena leaned into it, heart steady for once. Move-in day came faster than expected. Her family helped carry boxes into the dorm. Her roommate was kind, a girl named Imani who had bright eyes and nervous energy. They clicked quickly. Before her parents left, Lena hugged her sister tight. "Be louder when you need to," she said. "Don't wait." Her sister nodded, tearing up. "Call me if you get sad." "I will." Her father didn't say much, but his hug was firm and long. "I'm proud of you, my girl." Her mother cried, of course, and whispered, "Stay soft." When they left, Lena sat on her new bed and looked around. A bookshelf, a desk, a lamp, and her notebook, worn, stuffed with folded pages, sitting at the center of it all. Imani flopped onto her own bed. "You nervous?" "A little." "You're brave." Lena smiled. "So are you." The weeks passed quickly. Classes started. Lena studied psychology and creative writing. It felt right, like 2 pieces of her soul coming together. She wrote more. For the magazine? For herself? For the people she hadn't met yet, who needed to hear someone say, "You're not broken." She joined a mental health advocacy group on campus. Not because she wanted to relive her trauma, but because she wanted to use it, to turn her survival into someone else's first step forward. At one meeting, a girl spoke about her depression for the first time. Her hands trembled, her voice cracked. Afterward, she found Lena. "I read your story," she said. "It's why I came." Lena hugged her. No words needed. Some nights were still hard. She had panic attacks sometimes. Old fears crept in through cracks she didn't know were still open. But now, she knew what to do. She didn't stay silent. She reached out, called Eli, texted her sister, took a walk, wrote it out. She didn't disappear. One evening, Maya visited campus. They sat in a cafe, laughing like they were kids again. "I still think about that night," Lena admitted. When I messaged you? Yeah. If you hadn't... Maya reached across the table. You were always going to make it. I just reminded you. Lena looked away, tears in her eyes. Thank you. Maya squeezed her hand. Anytime. Fall came, then winter again. Lena turned 19. She wrote a poem called The Year I Didn't Die. She read it at an open mic night. The room fell silent. Then someone stood up. Then another. Then everyone applauded. She stepped off the stage, heart full. Later that night, walking back to her dorm, she looked up at the stars. They looked different now, less cold, more alive. She whispered to herself, I made it. Not as a declaration, but as a quiet truth. She had made it through the worst parts, and now she was building something new. Not a perfect life, but a real one. With love, with pain, with joy, with purpose. She wasn't just surviving anymore. She was living. And she wasn't alone.